Good morning. I'm delighted to be with you, sharing our journey and our learning and some exciting developments in the dynamic field of intergenerational practice. Just to explain, I will be using a few abbreviations because Apples and Honey Nightingale is quite a long term. So I will every now and then say AHN. And it's the same with intergenerational. You find that your tongue kind of slips. So I'll be using the term IG interchangeably. So some of you may remember my presentation at the first Care Home Research Forum 2 years ago, when I introduced Apples and Honey Nightingale, CIC, a not-for-profit intergenerational early years setting situated in the grounds of Nightingale House. That's the south side site of Nightingale Hammerson, and explained its raison d'etre. A lot has happened since then, and the world feels like it is in a very different place as we cope with post-pandemic trauma, financial instability, and now living through 2 more devastating wars. Yet it is still the events that affect us personally that impact most and that consume our lives. Relationships, health, birth and death, and of course, the quality of life of our loved ones of all ages. But it is on relationships that I want to focus. One of the reasons I opened Apples and Honey Nightingale 6 years ago was because I had witnessed the impact of my own children's relationship with their grandparents, a privilege that I had never myself been granted. These benefits were not just the obvious ones of having convenient free childcare. They were much deeper, grounding the children in the continuity of existence as an essential link in the chain of life, whilst capturing the skills and history of their grandparents who shared their wisdom with the children. Integral to the curriculum of Apples and Honey, my original early years setting, were occasional visits to Nightingale House, where the children could mix and mingle with an age group with whom they may not otherwise come into contact. These visits increased as we saw the impact of the interactions on both the children and the residents. And when I approached Nightingale House to suggest opening a nursery on their site, they agreed. And AHN, Apples and Honey Nightingale, opened in 2017 as the first co-located daycare and preschool in a care home with a daily program of mutually beneficial activities in England. Dr. Ali Summers, my co-founder, wrote a case study on our first year, and in 2019, a report on the impact on the well-being of our grandfriends, and our learning and our research journey had begun. We realized at AHN that coming together with good intent was not enough, and we decided to open AHN Education and Training Centre. It was important that intergenerational programs should be mutually valuable, meaningful, accessible, reciprocal, relational, and safe. And I think that now it's time for me to start my PowerPoint. The Beth Johnson Foundation wrote the universally accepted definition for IG practice in 2001. Now I shall read it to you. Intergenerational practice aims to bring people together in purposeful, mutually beneficial activities which promote greater understanding and respect between generations and contributes to building more cohesive communities. Intergenerational practice is inclusive, building on the positive resources that the young and old have to offer each other and those around them. As I mentioned before, quality intergenerational interactions are not just sweet, they are essential. Apples and Honey Nightingale Education and Training opened on the 1st of February 2022 and is regulated by NCFE, a regulatory body that specializes in social care and early years education training. And I'm delighted to share our website video, which was only uploaded last week.
In a world marked by an ageing population, a bridge connecting generations has never been more vital. that children are often away from their grandparents and older people are isolated from their families. Intergenerational practice champions the ideas that the older generation, the younger generation, can learn, inspire and support each other. Its practice has gained momentum in recent years, and its potential to enhance our communities is undeniable. Judith Ish-Horowicz MBE co-founded the Apples and Honey Nightingale Nursery in London. Her pioneering work has had a dramatic impact upon not only the children and the elderly, but also the wider community. The structured daily activities include shared singing lessons, gardening, craft and story sessions, which provide opportunities for shared experiences. Her continued passion and efforts have inspired others to explore different intergenerational initiatives. Yet for intergenerational practice to continue to grow and develop, there is a need for high-quality training. Apples and Honey Nightingale Education and Training have developed a set of intergenerational care qualifications to support the intergenerational movement to thrive and to create a lasting impact on the communities they serve. We have developed a meaningful set of qualifications which range from a one-day CPD course to a nested qualification which includes an award, a certificate and a diploma. Through a mixture of online and face-to-face tuition, they have learnt about intergenerational practice and the impact it can have on all stakeholders. The students have had an opportunity to observe intergenerational practice at Nightingale House.
You can see. Thank you. But you can see there the power not just of the intergenerational interactions and engagements, but it's the power of trained, qualified people, people who are experienced, who know what they're doing, who plan, and then deliver and evaluate actual programs that have sustainability and that build relationships and are long-lasting. And here you can see the two pathways that we have now developed, a professional pathway which leads to the level 3 diploma, and also a non-professional pathway for volunteers and anyone who is actually interested in our work. Our second cohort of students have just completed the award. We're beginning a new course tomorrow, and our first residential summer school partnering with Nightingale Hammerson will take place next summer in 2024. So if you wish to come on it, please go and sign up now. Our current project as well is for the National Lottery community-funded Creating Intergenerational Communities. Partnering with Generations Working Together in Scotland and linking Generations Northern Ireland, we gained a National Lottery grant for a national pilot to develop potential indicators of intergenerational good practice across the UK. And this has actually funded for Marilia, my development officer, who is here and who can share more about this project. It's taking place across the whole of the UK, and I say your left, you can see that there is a picture which represents, it's the Kaplan levels, which represent the 7 different levels of contact in intergenerational practice, rising from level 1, where people learn about each other without actually coming together, to level 7, when the intergenerational interactions are reciprocal, relational, carefully planned, delivered, and evaluated to ensure that sustainability I mentioned. So our remit is to develop quality indicators in intergenerational practice. And this word cloud represents the responses of our IG colleagues and they have helped to inform the development of these indicators and the toolkit that we are preparing to support IG practitioners in achieving these standards. In order to trial our quality indicators, the funding also supports us in our organisation has committed to develop 10 IG community spaces. And Apples and Honey Nightingale is supporting 10 projects across England and Wales. And we call them spaces because they don't have to be physical spaces. They don't have to be a nursery in a care home. They can be any opportunities where generations come together and actually create meaningful programs. So our very first pilot is the Nightingale Hammerson IG community space. We held a preparatory focus group in September to ensure that all the stakeholders were consulted. As you can see, we looked through everyone we thought could have an impact or it could be involved. It was important that everyone's voice was heard and that everyone felt ownership. So we had residents, relatives, children, parents or carers, childminders, volunteers, care staff, nursery staff, activities team, and the therapist team were all represented. We agreed at our meeting that the space would be open from 10 o'clock in the morning until 5 p.m. in order that it was accessible for all age groups, including school children who could come to our after-school club. Members requested specific activities and interactions which helped inform our programme, like support with technology and sharing of skills. And of course, we had to have refreshments. And then it was time to start measuring the impact. We devised a set of evaluation forms for our 4 different cohorts to be our baseline. So we have evaluation forms for our residents, for another one for the care staff, nursery staff and volunteers, another one for parents and carers and local community members, and one for the children. I won't spend too long on our graphs, as they do not show change yet. We've only just started. We're still in November. But it feels, it's just been amazing. I can tell you that, and I can think you can see it from my face, just how marvellous it's been. I won't have time to share too much, but you'll see that the questions that we asked were all aligned with only slight differences to reflect the cohorts. So the question for residents asking why they had come to the group was reworded for members of staff to ask what their responsibility was. Were they care staff or nursery staff or volunteers? The children were asked to fill in a smiley face chart, and I've scanned the results, but I'm afraid it was not possible to represent them on a graph, so I didn't bring them today. But it'll be very interesting to see how the graphs change after each evaluation exercise. So you can see here that for the Grand Friends, the largest age group was over 90. I'm just going to whip through them, only stop at some. It was good to see what the reasons were for joining the community space. And the majority of the residents actually came because they really wanted to see the children. And we will be measuring just whether or not there'll be a change in people's perceptions afterwards and how much they enjoyed the interactions, the things that we have planned. And we've taken on board other suggestions that they've made. Here you can see we actually looked at the variety of staff and volunteers. And because these are the practitioners, we were looking actually at the principles of intergenerational practice and seeing whether they actually felt that the interactions that we were preparing, we were delivering together with them, were ticking the correct boxes. Purposeful, mutual, reciprocal, and so on. There we are. And I can assure you we have higher tables now. So here again, a complete contrast in the age group. I have 2 minutes. I'm going to nip through, right? And there were other reasons for people joining our space. So I need to move. Our second focus group meeting is next week. So I'm hoping I have a lot to share, and we will share our slides then. We are involved in other research projects. We have a postgraduate student who is doing a research project on intergenerational communication for people living with dementia. We're working with the Frobel Trust, Roehampton University, on a paper on nurturing spirituality in early childhood. This is working with China and in England, and we're looking at it from an intergenerational aspect. I want to particularly give credit to Mariana Sanchez et al. For their recently published book. We have been using that book to help inform the quality indicators that we're preparing and the toolkit. Just in 2020, just in last October, the World Health Organization has also published a paper on connecting generations together, which is a very interesting read. We have other projects working across the UK. Ready Generations in Belong was speaking just at Edge Hill University yesterday and is working with Kiel. So there's a lot of research actually going on. And just to say that Apples and Honey Nightingale and Nightingale Hammerson are ideally placed for research projects on intergenerational practice. So if anyone is interested in doing more research in this area, please do speak to us. There is so much that we can see. And finally, I wanted to say how exciting it is to be able to contribute to this amazing field that has such potential for societal good. Yeah. I'm proud to be on the executive team of Global Intergenerational Week, where Apples and Honey Nightingale is a country lead. I'm also delighted to be working so closely with other IG organisations, with GWT in Scotland and LGNI, that's Linking Generations in Northern Ireland. They act as centres for information for their respective countries. And in partnership with Professor Emerita Sue Reed of the Beth Johnson Foundation, Apples and Honey Nightingale is relaunching the Centre for Intergenerational Practice, Research and Development, CIPRIDA, as a centre of excellence that supports the development and integration of intergenerational work across England. And we are having our launch tomorrow. And I couldn't end without a picture. Thank you.